just finished looking at all of your perspective sketches, and it's clear that we need to talk once again about how we draw scale figures in our quick perspective sketches. You may recall that I said the scale figure is going to have a head and that the body is going to be about 7 heads high. That we're going to make a shoulder that's about 2 feet across, and then either a straight line down on the left and a broken line on the right, or a head and a shoulder that's about 2 feet across and a straight line down on the right, and then we're going to break it on the left. Remember that this break happens a little below the halfway point from the ground to the top of the shoulder. See that? Remember also that the head is 1/7, roughly, and here I've made it a little more, about 7.5 heads, but the head should be about 1/7 of the height of the body. I've made mine almost 8, maybe 7.8 heads high. So what I have seen in a lot of your drawings are a couple of things. Either the body is more or less correct in proportion, but it's drawn as a straight triangle, or the head is drawn way too large. In some extreme cases, oops, I moved my paper, sorry. In some extreme cases, I've even seen on your sketches drawings like this, where not only is the head too large, but the entire body is too short to be believable at human scale. So, what can we do about these problems? Let's start with the head. So the head is not a circle, nor is it a straight oval. I know that last semester we worked very hard on drawing perfect ellipses, and this semester we are as well. This head is not a straight oval or a straight circle, because this head is reflecting the volume of the skull plus the jaw that comes down below the skull. And you can see that I'm not particularly careful about making a closed shape. This is meant to be a sketchy figure. So my head is circular on top and then has a jawline. You see that kind of jawline there? So it has some indication of a jawline, because if we were really drawing a head with a face on it, we would be putting our eyes about here and our mouth down here, right? And this would be the jaw. We don't get that involved when we're doing these quick, sketchy figures. So the first thing to remember is that the head is not a circle and it's not an oval. It is a shape that is round on top and oblong. The second thing to remember is the shoulders. So the shoulders are not a straight line that's dead horizontal. The shoulders slope down from what would be the neck. So I usually draw those as a bullet at one side and then a curve, a slight curve on the other side. So not a straight line across, but a gentle curve. And that more or less communicates the gentle slope of our shoulders. The next step, and the next place that people are stumbling, is the proportions. So let's remember that our head should be about 7 or maybe 8. There should be 7 or maybe 8 heads to the body. In this example, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads to the body. And you can see that it doesn't look proportionate. This head's even more extreme. And you can see that that is not quite 4 heads to the body. So that looks even less like a human. So we're going to make sure that our body is about 7 heads high. This is something that as you do it more, it will become more clear to you. What will make it more clear is you doing it. So we want to make sure that our shoulders are an arc, not a straight line, and that our body is about 7 heads high. Now, the last place that people seem to stumble is in putting their figures in a space. Remember that in a space, we have a vanishing point, and that every line, that's not vertical, goes to that vanishing point. Now, also remember that every figure that you draw, let's bring this vanishing line down here, every figure that you draw in that space is going to have their eyes, which is about halfway down their head, on that vanishing line, because we draw the space as if somebody has just come into it. Now I'm going to draw my head as an oblong with a jawline. I'm going to give myself a curved shoulder, and then I'm going to give myself a body that is about 7 heads high. Okay? If you want, you can soften that shoulder a little bit, and it makes the person look a little more like a person. Also, if you want, you can give yourself just a little bit of shading, just to give your person a little bit of dimension. So this person is standing in the foreground. If I want somebody to stand in the background, remember their head has to get proportionately smaller. And so here's my vanishing line here. And I can give myself a head that's round on top and slightly oblong. And then a curve for my shoulders. And then a body that is 7 heads high. Now I have to make my head smaller because the person is farther back, right? But you can see that by doing that, I make my shoulders a little more curved. By doing that, it is believable, for the most part, that this person is in the same space as that person. What I cannot do is make my head the same size as the person in the foreground and then just make a smaller body. That does not create a believable person because the head is out of proportion to the body. And this works anywhere I want to go. If I want someone even closer than this, someone really right up in my face, I can give myself a head. And now it's big enough, I might give myself a little neck. And this person won't fit on my page, but look, they're even closer. And then if I want to give, because it's so big, I might very quickly sketch in just a couple of things that will give me a little more detail. But in general, This is the figure that we want to make. And we want to be able to make it at different scales. Okay, thanks. Go draw.